For the longest time, I've always wanted to travel to Asia. When I was in middle school, I dreamt of visiting Japan. I was super into anime and even tried using Google Translate to learn Japanese. Neko. Not the most reputable source, I know. But by the time I entered high school, I was still dead set on going, and seeing my determination, I got my dad to agree to take me on a trip to Japan. If I graduated with good grades and got into college. The plan was in motion. Senior year of high school came and went, my grades were impeccable, I was accepted into college, everything was in place. But no Japan trip. To be honest, I'm not exactly sure what happened that summer that led to the trip not happening. You know when you get added to a trip group chat and you all swear you're gonna make it happen, but then the chat dies? Yeah, I guess that's pretty much what happened. My first college semester started and the promised trip faded into the back of my mind. During my first year, I finally took a proper Japanese class, and one day they passed out some program flyers. I couldn't believe what I saw. They had a summer study abroad program in Japan. When I tell you I hopped on that application so fast, I submitted all my paperwork and watched my email like a hawk for my result. With this, I would finally get my Japan trip and, even learn some stuff along the way. I was on cloud 9. But you all saw the title. The universe wasn't gonna let me off easy. Unfortunately, this was 2020, so I'm sure you can guess what happened next. My trip was canceled, school was canceled, everything was thrown off. With everything being online, learning a language became much harder, especially at the higher levels. Not to mention, I also wasn't really watching much anime anymore. In my senior year of high school, I discovered K-dramas and K-pop, which promptly consumed my attention throughout college. After 3 semesters of Japanese, I decided to switch over to learning Korean instead. No one really knew what was happening with this pandemic, and the school optimistically tried opening back up their study abroads for the summer of 2021. This time, I attempted to apply for a study abroad in Korea, but before I even heard my result, the trip was canceled as the pandemic wasn't improving enough. And at this point, I kind of expected it and gave up hope. During the summer of 2022, study abroads were back up and running, but I had to complete an internship for my major, so I didn't even bother applying that time around. And now I've graduated. They say the best time to travel is in between jobs. It would have been smart to travel after graduation, but instead, I dove into starting my freelance work. Since 2023, I've been working on building my video editing business, and I'll say I've done a pretty decent job, but I still look back and wish I could have gone on that trip. In college, I met my boyfriend, Sean. He loves the idea of traveling the world, and when I told him about my dream trip, he became one of my biggest supporters. However, it was hard to decide when we should do it. We're both working as freelancers, so theoretically, we could go whenever we wanted, but we were also starting to talk about moving out together. While I did say my business has been doing well, I wouldn't say I have thousands to be throwing around willy-nilly. We came to the conclusion that it would be best to travel before we moved out so we didn't have the rent to worry about. And in that same moment, we decided we should check all of our most pressing Asia boxes while we're there. I wanted to finally go to Korea and Japan since they were both canceled on me, and Sean wanted to add the Philippines and Cambodia. Sean is Filipino, but he's never actually visited the place, and a friend of ours is from Cambodia and has been begging Sean to visit him for a while now. So there's no way we could not go while we're in the area. Man, that's 4 countries. Just how long is this trip gonna be? 37 days, including the flights. Suddenly, this trip became so much more than I ever realized it would be. But I was excited and a little scared. I felt like I was finally fulfilling the dreams that I had as a kid. We invited a few of our friends to come along with us for the trip, and I took the helm to make sure this trip takes off the ground. I wasn't gonna let it slip away so easily this time. Now, this episode's already quite long, so I'll be posting about this trip in a series of episodes. If you're interested in hearing how each of the countries went, stay tuned. It's gonna be a wild ride. Hey everyone, thanks for watching my first video. I've never tried animation like this before, so there's a lot of learning going into this project, but I'm proud of what I was able to make, and I'm excited to learn a lot more as I create this series of videos. Anyways, thanks again for all your support, and here's to a new era. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!